it will be an exclusive pond, an exclusive fountain that is his. It will actually stem from Al-Kawthar. I mentioned to you yesterday that a cloak will be brought out for him, as it will be brought out before for Ibrahim alayhi salam, but also he has a river in Jannah called Al-Kawthar, the river of abundant goodness. Out of it, two lines of water, two supplies of water will come and will fill this basin, continue to fill this basin for his followers to drink from it, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. At that moment, you just need to know, you will never feel prouder for being a part of this ummah at that moment. Just as he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, will be so proud to see you having reached there. By the way, are there other hawds? There are. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِنَّ لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ حَوْضًا وَإِنَّهُمْ يَتَبَاهَوْنَ. Every prophet will be given a fountain, right? And they will each feel proud. They will each feel proud, not in sort of a deluded pride, but in a grateful pride. They will all feel proud and boast who has a bigger nation, who has more people that they get to give drink from, they get to quench. وَإِنِّي أَرْجُو أَنْ أَكُونَ أَكْثَرَهُمْ وَارِدًا. And so I am hopeful that I will be the one that has more people coming to his. Of course he will. He will have the greatest nation, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, than anyone else. And that's why in other hadith he makes it very clear, multiple statements. He left with his ummah an entrustment. He said, get married and have children. And of course he means, ensure their righteousness. Try your level best. It's hard work. But get married and have children, for I will boast of your great numbers in front of the other nations on the Day of Judgment. So those great numbers will flock to his hawd in a moment of desperation. One particular narration here requires a little bit of treatment. From Anas, when Anas said, he asked the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to intercede for me on the Day of Judgment. So he said to me, أَنَا فَاعِلٌ إِنشَاءَ ta'ala. Inshallah, the Most High, I will intercede for you. So he said to him, فَأَيْنَ أَطْلُبُكَ. Where can I find you? In the masses, where do I find you? He said to him, أَوَّلْ مَا تَطْلُبُنِي عَلَى الصِّرَاطِ. First look for me on the bridge. Between the gathering place, the place of judgment, the bridge, paradise, right? Look for me on the bridge. قُلْتُ فَإِنْ لَمْ أَلْقَكَ عَلَى الصِّرَاطِ. What if I can't find you on the bridge? He said, فَطْلُبْنِي عِنْدَ الْمِيزَانِ. Then look for me, seek me out at the scales, at the scale station. I said, فَإِنْ لَمْ أَلْقَكَ عِنْدَ الْمِيزَانِ. What if I don't find you at the scales? What if we miss each other? He said, فَطْلُبُنِي عِنْدَ الْحَوْضِ. Then seek me out at the hawd, at the fountain, at the pond. فَإِنِّي لَا أُخْطِئُ هَذِهِ الثَّلَاثَ مَوَاطِنِ. Because you will not miss me at all three of these. If nothing else, then the hawd. Of course, the sequence here is a little bit problematic, because after the bridge, if not, then at the scales, which most scholars are going to say is behind the bridge, and then al-hawd, which is even before the scales, before the judgment begins. And so how does it work like this? They've had several explanations. One of them could simply be that the narrator, the sub-narrators, have mixed up the order, which is very possible. They're human beings, right? And we have a sophisticated mechanism to compare and contrast and develop a cumulative understanding of what it would look like. That's one explanation. The other explanation is that there could be a second hawd, like the Al-Kawthar could be how Zamzam, there's multiple stations, multiple places to pick up Zamzam, right, in your Hajj or Umrah journey. Perhaps there's a secondary hawd, because there will be also a little bit of a wait, not just for the judgment to start, but there'll be a second hawd waiting for Jannah to open. So, in either case, he's telling him, this is where you find me. You find me at Al-Hawd. So what does Al-Hawd look like, as far as the words of human beings can describe them? There is nothing like experiencing it for sure. But he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hawdi is like the distance between Aden, Yemen, and Amman in Jordan. And it is cooler than ice. It's going to be so refreshing. And sweeter than honey. In some narrations, it is also whiter than milk, meaning brighter than milk. It will be sweeter than honey and whiter than milk, and its fragrance will be more pleasant than musk. They will emanate a fragrance. People can almost follow their nose to it, right? And its cups, made of gold and silver in certain ahadith, are as numerous as the stars in the sky. How many stars are there in the sky? Anyone know? Allahu A'lam. Never be wrong with that. They say, right? I know sometimes I make a little bit of a tangent. These are helpful for some people, and they cheapen the discourse for other people. But I do think stirring our shartul maw'idatil fikr. They say this. The Salafus say that the prerequisite, the requirement for you to be awoken, maw'idah is not a nasiha. Nasiha is just like advice, directive. Maw'idah is a wake-up call, right? So if you want to be moved by a reminder, it's a two-way street. You have to sort of employ your reflections on it. That's how you do it. And so nowadays we should be able to appreciate more than ever how many stars there are. Right or wrong? The closest star to us is what? The sun. It's only like 93 million miles away. And it's one of the smallest stars as well. They say in our little galaxy, the star is one of the smallest, the sun is one of the smallest stars out of the approximately 100 million stars in our galaxy. The sun is one of the smallest of them. And of course the earth is microscopic next to the sun. And as far as we can tell so far, there's about 300 million of these galaxies in our universe. Of course these numbers don't mean anything at this point, like just the smoke starts coming out, it's a brain fry. But just, they will be more numerous than the stars of the sky. These cups, these ladles, these containers, vessels of gold and silver, lined up around this humongous rectangular, hadith mentions a square, rectangle if you will, pool or basin that is set up for our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Man shariba minha, whomever drinks from it, one time, la yadma'u ba'daha abada. They will never go thirsty again. And perhaps we will know, as we are drinking it, that this means, right? I'll never go thirsty again. That means I've succeeded. You know, as you're drinking it, the judgment hasn't happened yet. And so as you're lifting it to your lips, it's like, this is it. If the angels don't pull me away right now, I'm in good standing. Whoever gets to drink from it will never experience thirst again. May Allah make us of those people. You need to know that the sincerest voluntary deeds done for 1,000 years mean nothing compared to an obligatory deed. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُهُ عَلَيْهِ. My servant never comes closer to me with anything more beloved to me than what I have enjoined upon them as a duty, as an obligation. And so, who has priority access? People following the first pillar of Islam is like a given. It's a no-brainer. I will recognize them. I will bring them over to the Sirat. I will recognize them by the shining of their foreheads and the shining of their limbs from sujood and wudu.